No mai hore mai. Welcome to the extraordinary meeting of council this morning. Apologies. We have a number of apologies this morning. We have Neville Cook, Lloyd Esler, and pretty much 90% sure that Robert Guyton is.
Neville Cook and Lloyd Esler are attending another meeting on council business, and Councillor Guyton has said if he does not join by Zoom, there will be an apology.
Moved by Jeremy, seconded by Alan. All in favour say aye. Aye. Declarations of interest have been made aware already this morning. Notification of extraordinary and urgent business, supplementary reports or other. I'm not aware of any this morning. Questions? I have not been made aware of any questions. So we'll move to item 6, which is the staff report. Item 1 is the 2021 to 2031 long-term plan development supporting information.
So, Chair, we've got a series of reports that we'll be considering, each with the recommendations. I'll hand over to Wilma Faulkner to talk through item 1, supporting information.
Thank you. So attached to the appendices, the first part of the appendices relates to the material that goes as available to the public for consideration of the consultation document for the long-term plan. These documents remain in draft form until the LTP itself is adopted later in the year. And the material that goes into them has been workshopped with you to date. There is capacity for these items to be amended between the time of consultation and 31st of July. However, these need to be matters raised through consultation, unless they are very minor matters of typos and clarification. So the purpose of the first item is to adopt these draft documents so that they are available to the public for the consultation process.
Thank you for that, Wilma. We're talking about a slight amendment. Is that in that first piece that we need to talk about at this stage? Or?
So, councillors, you've raised a matter that for the second document, the draft financial strategy, not certain how you'd like to handle that. We're just preparing a paragraph which we propose to put into page number, at the bottom of page 9.
Bottom of page 9 in the appendices.
Yes, so bottom of page 9 in the appendices, under investment in managed funds, we propose that there is a further subheading and dot point there, investment in leasehold land. And the staff are about to bring back some proposed words for that to go in there, which are from the draft policy, which is going to be before you. There is one other amendment proposed for this document, Mr. Chair, which is on page 11. Here. And I believe relates to graph number 4, which has got currently some small error in it, which we're going to replace with a new graph, which is in the future. So, Mr. Chair, do you want to actually see this item and then come back to document number 2 for adoption after we've done those two?
Okay, so recommendations for 1 are open for discussion. Those will get the final wording and that updated graph to go with it, but does anybody want to comment on the recommendations? This the whole list of documents that we have here. Or do we want to move that subject to the amendments that we
Do we need to see or accept the amendment into the record, or can we move it with the amendments still to come?
Can I propose that we adopt, that you move to adopt all of the items except paper 2 draft financial strategy, because it is not a document that we then need to move on and adopt a proposal to consult on. We can come back to that particular document.
So that clear?
I'm happy to move, Mr. Chairman, the resolution excluding number 2. I think, Mr. Chairman, in making that recommendation, it was actually very interesting to read through all the stuff that we've done over the last year or so, some 17 odd workshops, I believe, and this was a revision of the work that we've done, and said it will come together in these papers.
To be clear, Lloyd is moving one, excluding the draft financial strategy at this stage. Do we have a seconder for that? Bonnie? Right, the item moved and seconded. Any further comment before we put that particular motion? There being none, I will put the motion. All in favour will say aye. Aye. Against? No. Carried.
Item 2,
which is the long-term plan development, adoption of the consultation document.
and Wilma's going to take us through that as well.
So, Mr. Chair, this is the adoption of the consultation document proper, which is this document in materials. The document for information includes the draft of the auditor's opinion, which upon this adoption they will then sign and include in the final document.
Things have taken a long time to get to the stage, and we're probably later than a number of councils getting to the stage and putting out a consultation document on our draft LTP. It certainly has been, I think, definitely the most difficult LTP I've had anything to do with. We've had the aftermath of COVID, which of course has led to the loss of our income from cruise ships, which in the past has actually funded all our coastal activity. Significant hit in the short term. There's 10% off the top of our budget for a start. We've also been fortunate enough to receive 18.5 million out of the Shovel Ready program to actually update much quicker than we possibly could have done without our flood banks, to actually give community resilience. But of course, 4.8 million has to be found for the local share. Again, another major hit. So, plus we're being asked to do a lot more by government, whether it's legislative changes of plans or exercise, and all these things actually need extra consultation with the public. I know this is a significant draft rise we're putting out there, but actually, if we're to do the job that Southland and government have asked us to do, our choices are limited. But I'll throw that open to council for further comment. Because, well, the larger document sits behind this. This is the one that goes out for asking the public to come back with it, to give us feedback on what we've actually proposed. Helen?
Yeah, I just make like a similar comment, Mr. Chairman. It has been a thorough process. I mean, it's the first time I've been involved in it, and we've looked in from being a member of the community, and now we're involved as councillors in how we work through a program. It's a 10-year plan, but obviously the first 3 years are the most crucial in this program. There is a lot to do. I mean, the resilience, how we as a community go forward, maintaining our infrastructure, preparing ourselves for the unknown, and ensuring that we've got a solid balance sheet, largely sees us in the position of having to put forward a rate increase of the magnitude that we're asking. It's not an easy question to ask of the community, and even the second option is still not an easy ask. So the community will have the opportunity to talk and give their views, but it's a process, and we've worked through it thoroughly, and I guess now it's just asking the community to support us.
Thank you, Helen. Any further comments? Lloyd?
Thanks, Chairman. First of all, I want to thank the staff for helping us along the way, and we've used internal and external sources. So I think we should, in preparation of all these documents we've read over the last few days, again, we thank them for their work. I think the consultation document is quite clearly set out. The page 16 onwards, which is what it actually means for different parts of their community, set out in a clear way. And council has given an option that it believes is the best for Southern going forward, with some longer term view. So that said, I think we look forward to the consultation with the public, and I hope they read as much as they can and understand the picture and environment we're in. I have a view, Mr. Chairman, that the society in general is asking for more information. We see that coming through government sources, but we see that from other groups with the OAs and Lagromas that have been looked for. We see that people are looking for more information, a better understanding of what's happening in our environment. And this is one way they can participate, is come and help us through this next journey. So we look forward to that in the near distant future.
Thanks, Lloyd, for the comments. Jeremy?
I certainly, it's a good document to be putting out, and the main thing I want to encourage is the community. Certainly ask the questions of us and make sure that we want the community on board to go ahead. And so I challenge, community to get into them and submit to it if they have the questions, or ask the questions anyway. So it's one of those times when the community can sit down with us and talk about the future. We'd like to discuss things, so looking forward to their input. Just want to encourage that.
Peter?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just an acknowledgement that these two options that we're presenting is a large step up. Absolutely, it's got to be acknowledged. But I urge people to read the consultation document, and we always like to make comparisons. The problem is where we're comparing against our local other TAs in the south, and maybe we should be looking to other regional councils throughout the South Island and just seeing where we stand. They have similar expectations from government and public too. So if we look ahead to one of our 6 priorities, and that is one is regional leadership, which I'm just picking out. I think this is a pointer of what we're talking about there, is how we're going to better work together with other South Indigenous, including other groups, local authorities, etc. So I'm pretty excited about that. It seems to be a new direction that we're going to take. So well done.
Eric, then Lundell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to acknowledge that this is quite a big step in terms of the lump change of where we're suggesting the 2 options are, and other councillors have said it, but this isn't a decision that's been taken lightly by us, and I don't know how many hours we spend in workshops. I think Councillor McCallum said 17 workshops. I'd lost count, but well over 100 hours. with the best advice we could get internally and externally, and working options on the way forward. And at a time when we've got significant difficulties around through COVID and other things, it has been a journey for us. And, I just encourage people who are concerned about the lump, as Councillor McDonald said, read the information, and we're accountable to actually a decision which I think protects our community in the best way forward, and takes us forward to a place where we can have what we believe our role is, a thriving Southland. And I just commend the documents to our troops out there to just read and assimilate the information.
Thanks, Eric. Lyndall.
Thanks, Chairman. Just a couple of things. Councillor McDonald mentioned leadership, and leadership involves making hard decisions, and I think we have made some really hard decisions, and we've had some very robust debate along the way. So the many hours of workshops that have already been referred to have not always been a unanimous agreement at the end. But ultimately, in the bigger picture, we have actually come to a point where we all are willing to back the place that we are in now, and show that leadership to take our community to a more resilient place. I think we also have to remember that, a lot of this has been, we've talked about risk a lot, and risk to the organisation and risk to the region, and a lot of the financial decisions have been made, suggestions are being made, so that Southland is in a better place in the next 3, 10, 30 years. If we have any other major impacts like we've had in the last 18 months, we don't want to be at the mercy of anything or anyone. So again, encourage the community to let us know what they think, and also to be brave themselves, because the process is a bit daunting, but you don't have to write a novel for us, just fill in a form or write a paragraph, and speaking is more your thing, then come and talk to us, but we certainly don't want you to be frightened by the process. Let us know what you think, and we'll do our best in the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Lyndall. Any further comments before I ask? Does somebody agree with this? I think, just listening to the comments around the room, and thank you for those comments. This has been a long journey, and really it does come down to actually having the courage to be honest and to have that future focus. We'll now put this out to the public, and they will give us feedback. But thanks for actually having the courage to actually put out some hard decisions. In the past, councils often will go for the soft option, but if we're doing our job, we have to actually be honest. David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to congratulate the staff actually for it's been, as Councillor McCallum said, 17 workshops, but also I think it's a very honest approach to some of the challenges we've got ahead, and we are asking quite a considerable rates rise, but I just encourage the community to actually look at behind that and just see as to what justification and the workload is ahead of us. So just really encourage the community to do that. And also we're available as councillors. If anybody wants to get in touch with us, we're too happy to talk to them. So I just encourage that. Thanks.
So David, if there's no further comments, would somebody like to move the resolution? Moved by Jeremy, seconded by Lyndall. Any further discussion? I will put the motion. All in favour will say aye. Aye. Against, no. Carried.
So we've got chair item 3. It's through the consultation material. There's a series of proposed policies: a revenue and finance policy, rates remission and postponement policy, fees and charges schedule and financial contribution policy and significance and engagement policy. So these are all, we need to approve these to run concurrently with the LGP consultation document.
Would you like to comment on item 3? Reasonably straightforward, but we know that some people will find the rates a burden, and we have still got the ability for people to approach staff, and if they need to make the payment in several payments rather than the one. So I think we're doing what we can to actually soften the blow. There's no further comments. Lloyd.
I'll just make one. I think when you go into this, you actually start to think it's very simple, but when you actually fulfill the requirements that we are, and it's quite far ranging, and it's actually audited by others as well, you start to realise the global effect and the globalness of all these things. These are all important parts of this puzzle, and we need to make sure they're out there and are clear and transparent. I agree with Mr. Chairman that there is some rate submission and some policies that we have in place. If you come and talk to us, we can help that burden from the one-off payment we normally have. I think it's good that we get these out there and get the public's comments on it. So, thank you. I'm happy to move these, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Lloyd, seconded by David. Any further discussion? Any put motion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against no, carried. Welcome, Councillor Cox. We'll move to item 4, is joining the local government funding agency.
So, Chair, as you see, this is about joining the local government funding agency. It gives us maybe some more options for accessing finance. You think that Wilma Faulkner or Tony would like to add to this item around the local government funding agency? I think it's pretty well set out, reasonably simple as to whether or not to join. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Rob. Again, we've been through this in detail at the workshop, explaining the benefits to the community of being part of the LGP. They are substantial across a period of time, financially significant. Again, referring to Councillor Ludlow's comments on resilience, this is a large part of us wanting to join the LGP, that insurance for those expected but unexpected events, having that credit facility available to us. We will be using a very small amount of it proposed throughout years of the LGP. I recommend to all community the option to join the LGFA as a guarantee.
Thank you, Tony. We've discussed this at length during at least one workshop, and I guess the long and short of it is this gives us some flexibility. It actually provides the ability to borrow at a cheaper rate than we would through the banks. And with the proposal on the table to borrow either 7.5 or 10 million and repay over a considerable amount of time, this gives us options. And I'm certainly supportive of the recommendation. Lyndall.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, me too. If not just for the reason that it's much easier to make your claims. Having watched the staff manage the claims that we've had over a couple of different institutions, it's taken a lot of time and energy itself. So the ability to draw on the insurance immediately when we need it is a real bonus for us, I think. So I would absolutely be supporting it.
Thank you, Linda. Any further comments on this item?
I think we talked about this for quite a while, but you're right, we had one in-depth workshop on this to try and understand it fully, and there was quite good and healthy discussion. I think this is around resilience, as been mentioned that's been a very important part of one of the parts, one of the tools in the toolbox that we can use, and that helps us going forward with confidence. So this option is one that the community should expect us to look at with seriousness, and we've looked at, and part of the reason we've got the two options in the main consultation document is we're looking about how long to take to repay debt. We don't want the debt to be too long in the system, but we need enough time to actually to do that with confidence, because there could be other major events come at us in the meantime. So we think this is a very good option, and we've spent quite a bit of time trying to understand it for a start, and then how it fits into our business. So thank you.
Any further comments on this item? If not, would somebody like to move the recommendations? Moved by Lyndall, seconded by Eric. All in favour will say aye. Aye. Against no. Carried. We'll now move to item 5, which is infrastructural asset management plans review.
Thank you, Chair. So this item sets out how these assets are to be managed, the policies and procedures, the long-term maintenance programs, and the monitoring of performance. They cover the Aparima, Makaukau City, Makarura, Matara, Riki, and Te Anau rating districts, and they include the assets within those schemes, the flood banks, the pumping stations, and the other sort of assets that are part of those programs. They form a major part of the information basis for the infrastructure strategy that's included in the 21-31 long-term plan.
Thank you for that, Rob. And I guess for our regional council, our flood banks are our major infrastructural assets, and we are required to have 30-year plans, hence the documents we have as dependencies. If you'd like to comment on item 5. Board. Not. Would somebody like to move the recommendation? Moved by David, seconded by Jeremy. And I will put the recommendation. All in favour will say aye. Aye. Against no. Carried. So we're going to go back to number 1 to do. We need to have a break for that one. We'll finish 7 and 8.
I've got some words, I think, Chair. So
Already? Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll return to item 1 where we
got the corrected graph and some words around this thing. So you want to start with the graph?
All right, let's have a look. Run us through the new and improved graph, Tanya.
Thank you, Chair. So apologies, this is a small amendment as a result of something that was picked up just recently with audit. And as I say, it's not material, but it's important that it's accurate, that you have the document. So the debt affordability graph was showing initially it would be less than 15%. Reality is it's 18%, and we need to update the graph just a small error on our behalf, just we put this information into that, including total debt versus one. If you like to compare it to the rest of the you'll see it is very small. The total debt has not changed. Nothing has changed about the model or the financial representation within this graph. I think it's very clear. The other point that was brought to our attention this morning is that the years before the year did not have a debt line of, it didn't have a debt limit, I should say, because we had no debt. So for the sake of accuracy, we'll take this with you. As the whole financial strategy is still draft, but this is important. Any questions, please?
Any questions on the graph? It seems quite straightforward.
Just a clarification, Mr. Chairman, should we accept these two documents as straight papers for agenda?
You want to talk about
Don't need to.
Don't need to. Okay. Okay. So we'll move to the addition for page 9 of the agenda here. The tendency document.
Proposing inserting this into page 10 of the existing document. The policy holds investments in budget returns. There is investment staff called investment managed funds, and on page 10, prior to the last two paragraphs, we're just inserting this amendment.
We've all seen the amendment, and I guess just a bit of history. This leasehold land was acquired as part of that. It was flood-prone land that was too expensive to put flood banks into. So when the comprehensive flood bank system we now have was put in the 80s, there was some land that was deemed too expensive or too high, and a lot of that land was actually bought and leased back at the time. The original owners that sort of moved on, but it's good to see that there. It's part of the balance sheet, and I think it's good to acknowledge that. Any other comments on the addition? Peter.
Yeah, I think it's a good wee addition there. And also, I like that last line, and be operated in a professional manner in which supports our environmental sustainability with our climate challenges we have in the future. It's going to be, I believe, it's going to be a very important asset to the province. And I'm pleased that's been put in.
Comments? No, we don't have to do anything to add this to it. It's just, we're just accepting this amended page.
And one last small matter. The councillors who are inquiring about the change that in their Objective Connect box was the addition of the Māori full financial strategy, which has been added to the document because it has been to all other documents. So that's what was updated this morning. So in the final document, Mr. Chair, there'll be the words Te Rau Pāki Pūtea added to the financial strategy headline. So those are the 3 amendments to this document.
So I guess we still need to move to from that.
The amendment be adopted.
Those amendments be adopted.
That's the draft financial strategy number 2, which we omitted to do the first time. So the amended 2, would somebody like to
I'll move the amendment. Be adopted.
Moved by Eric, seconded by Lyndall. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against no, carried. Right.
Well, I think we now need to move the adopted. Do we not, Jan?
You've just done that.
The other bits were done, so we just, that was, so you've covered it, yeah. Item 7, extraordinary business. I'm not aware of any this morning. There's no public excluded. On that note, I will declare the meeting closed and thank you all for your contributions. This has been a journey to get to the stage. We'll put out a document, which is a draft document, and we now look forward to public comment. So thank you.